Welcome to Channel. Prime Minister Mark Carney has returned from his high-stakes visit to the United Kingdom, and the political fallout is just beginning. During his time in London, Carney met with world leaders, top executives, and global investors, aiming to showcase that Canada is no longer just a junior partner to the United States. His message: Canada can stand on its own in a world rattled by terrorist conflicts and political instability. But not everyone is convinced. Opposition leader Pierre dismissed the trip as an expensive photo op, accusing Carney of ignoring challenges at home. That leaves Canadians with one pressing question. Was this trip a costly distraction or a pivotal moment in Canada's global strategy? This wasn't Carney's first trip abroad, but it may have been his most consequential. Unlike past prime ministers who relied almost exclusively on Washington, Carney is charting a different course. In London, he pitched a vision of Canada as a nation rewriting the rules, cutting red tape, creating space for private investment, and laying the groundwork for long-term growth. Of course, none of this happens overnight. Experts note these kinds of reforms take months, even years, to show results. That's where Carney's credibility matters. With his background as a central banker and his deep connections in global finance, he can open doors most leaders simply can't. He wasn't just telling investors that Canada is open for business. He was persuading them that Canada is worth betting on. And context matters. Carney's visit came against the backdrop of Donald Trump's return to the world stage. As U.S. president, Trump has doubled down on tariffs, threatened allies with new trade barriers, and made clear that America first comes at everyone else's expense. His speeches in Washington and at the UN have left allies asking, if the United States can no longer be trusted as a reliable partner, who do we turn to? Carney stepped into that vacuum. In London, alongside Britain's Keir Starmer, as well as leaders from Spain, Denmark, and beyond, he positioned Canada as a stabilizing force. His message was unambiguous. Canada belongs to a bloc of democracies committed to stability, cooperation, and long-term strategy, the polar opposite of Trump's chaos. When it came to trade, Carney's London trip delivered its most tangible results. For decades, Canada's economy leaned heavily on the United States for exports, investment, and growth. But under Trump, that dependence has turned into a liability. Tariffs on steel and aluminum, constant threats of new trade barriers, and the weaponization of economic policy have shown how risky over-reliance on Washington can be. That's why Carney is pushing diversification harder than any prime minister before him. Canada has already secured the CETA deal with Europe, refreshed its agreement with Mexico, and signed a major new pact with Indonesia. These aren't just signatures on paper. They're safeguards. Safeguards against Trump's next tariff threat, against U.S. unpredictability, and against the idea that Canada's prosperity should hinge on whoever happens to occupy the White House. For Canadians watching at home, the question is simple. How does this help me? Carney's answer is one word: resilience. By building alternatives, Canada shields its workers, industries, and families from being dragged into Washington's trade wars. It means steel workers don't lose their paychecks because Trump wants to score political points. It means farmers can count on markets in Europe and Asia, not just the United States. And it means Canada's technology, clean energy, and manufacturing sectors can expand without being strangled by U.S. protectionism. Critics like Pierre argue Carney is distracted by foreign trips while Canadians continue to struggle with housing costs, inflation, and affordability. But Carney insists he's laying the foundation for long-term solutions that will outlast the daily cycle of partisan politics. The London mission was, above all, a political gamble. By putting Canada on the map globally, Carney is trying to redefine what leadership looks like at home. To his supporters, he's the first prime minister in decades to give Canada real independence from Washington. To his critics, he's just a globe-trotting banker chasing applause abroad while ignoring pain at home. That divide is set to shape the battles ahead in Parliament, especially as Trump escalates his tariff threats as, what did Carney's trip actually achieve? Not instant results, not flashy headlines, but something more fundamental. The groundwork for a strategy Canada has long talked about but never fully embraced: independence, resilience, and diversification. By courting investors, securing new trade alternatives, and aligning Canada with a bloc of stable democracies, Carney is attempting to rewrite Canada's role in the world. Whether Canadians buy into that vision or reject it, will determine not only Carney's future, but the country's future in a world increasingly defined by Donald Trump. This is Canada Today. Subscribe now for fact-driven analysis on the stories